stage. And would you please welcome to stage Clyde, Ground Zero Lounge. Come on, make some noise. We can't hear ya.
Yeah, Ground Zero Lounge. Whoa. My God, it feels good to be here tonight. I'm actually doing a lot better, and I'm glad to have you all here. Thank you so much for coming out to the Ground Zero Lounge. Let's hear it loud and proud for the unit audience out there tonight. Woo! My God, okay, I'm tired. I'm going home. Yeah, that's the end of that. I really do appreciate the enthusiasm, the excitement out in the audience tonight. Hopefully, we're going to have a great show for you. It's not going to be one of those tired shows, because for 2 weeks I've been tired, and today I actually have a spark of energy, and I'm so glad to be here tonight and to talk with you about some of the things that have been going on, and some of the things that are on my mind that are sticking out. And believe me, there are a lot of weird things going on. Not much, I don't think, in the political arena, as you know, even though everybody's like arguing over whose religion is better and whose God's penis is bigger than the other God's penis, and who's Christian and who's not Christian, and you know, and I just think that that's bullshit. I was listening to the arguments that Huckabee had against Mitt Romney, basically asking the question if Jesus and Satan are brothers in the Mormon religion. And I thought, you know, what have he said about Lieberman's religion, saying something about how do Jews have horns, you know, and questions like that. People just don't care anymore. They'll be as vicious as they can be. I mean, this is a cutthroat business, this political crap. And you know what? I'm not going to talk about it. Why? Because we're not here to talk about cutthroat bull crap. We're here to talk about what is coming up on the horizon for every single one of us. And I'm getting a theme running through my mind, and I'm getting a theme running through my soul, and I think the Zeitgeist is dictating that I talk about this tonight. Now, let me tell you something about the Ground Zero Lounge. For those of you that haven't been here in a while, for those of you that haven't gotten used to the idea of the energy that's involved with the Ground Zero Lounge and that sort of thing, you're heard on the internet, you're also being videotaped tonight. So the good thing that you have to do is, if you hear something you like, you applaud very loud. If you want to laugh, laugh as loud as you can. If you want to get on the microphones and talk about something that I'm talking about, or you want to debate something that I'm talking about, if you hear something said by a person in the audience you want to debate, these 2 microphones are available right here. Get up and get on those microphones. The truth is, with all the lights on me, I can't see all of you. And without the monitors, sometimes I can't hear all of you. So you have to go to the microphones. And sometimes the audience can't hear you. So you have to be loud, and you have to applaud loudly and boo and do whatever you need to do to get it all out of your system. Because what you're doing here tonight is you're participating in freedom of speech and the right to gather here tonight at Dante's. Let's thank Dante's for allowing us to have this moment together tonight at Ground Zero Lounge. Okay, so as I've been recovering from my surgery, and as I've been laying around doing absolutely nothing except absorbing what's been going on in the world, it's funny how I was talking with a friend of mine, and she says it's true that when you get something like cancer, which is what I have and what they're getting rid of right now, what I'm going through to get rid of at the moment, that pretty much defines you for a good long period of time, because you're constantly looking and constantly seeking information about that. And I got some information the other day. It just went by me while I was watching the news. They were saying that with all of the equipment that they have at the moment, the scientific equipment, that they are able to now figure out that it used to be 1 in 5, but now 1 in 3 people are going to get cancer in their lifetime. 1 in 3 people. So they reduced the chances. Actually, the chances are increasing for you to get cancer. So what I'm going through right now, many of you may go through. One of you may go through it. And I don't want to wish it on anyone, because people ask me, so what does it feel like to have cancer? And I'll tell you exactly what it feels like. If you were all to, right now, hold your arms out like this, and if I told you to do it for 15 minutes, I don't think you could do it. I don't think you'd be able to endure 15 minutes of holding your arms out in front of you, because gravity will set in and you would start getting tired of holding your hands out, holding your arms out. But see, that's how it feels to have cancer and to recover. Is that you have to consistently hold those arms out no matter how tired you are. And people around you are going, you can fight it, you can fight it, you can beat it, you can beat it. But you know what? Sometimes you just get tired. And sometimes you get frustrated. Sometimes you feel like you can't do it. But you get up and do it anyway. Last week when I was up on... Thanks, Elvis. I appreciate that. Last week when I got up here, I was noticing, because, you know, they videotaped the show, and I was noticing I looked like I was in a lot of pain, and I was last week. And I was noticing some of the things that, you know, some of the expressions that were on my face, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, there are a lot of people out there that are suffering right now, and they're feeling sick, and they're feeling tired, and they're feeling a number of things. They go to their doctors, and their doctors can't help them. But for the longest time, we've been told...
They don't want to.
Well, they don't want to, or you don't have the insurance. But we've been told for the longest time by people in what we call the outside of the mainstream news have told us that we live in a toxic environment. We have chemtrails that are polluting the skies. We have the water is being polluted. We have people who are being told that, you know, there are contagions and H5N1 flu that's looming on the horizon and all these other things that are out there that are going to get us. And I've been hearing about these for a long time, and I've been on this stage talking about depleted uranium and how it's actually, when you use depleted uranium, you are actually sending that fallout into the sky, and it's got to go somewhere. It goes into your food supply, it goes into your water supply, it goes into you. And so when you hear of a person that you know getting cancer or falling ill with some strange ailment that you don't know what it is, it's because we have been thrown into a toxic environment, and the people who put us there are the ones that are developing these problems. Global warming and all that, it's not your fault.
It's theirs.
It's their fault. Exactly. Why? Because the war machine is eating up resources. The war machine is causing problems. We're seeing the war machine doing all these things, and we're allowing it to happen because we're not telling people, look, it's not good for our health to fight wars. Someone has got to get that wash of that fire, and if you're not in the middle of the fire, you get blood on you, and that blood that gets on you can make you sick, and it can kill you. Because that's exactly what they don't want you to know. And so in the meantime, you get infected slowly but surely, and immediately that strange demon lurks in the background, that strange, unseen, unknowing enemy that will strike you down and will make you sick. Let's go to Sarah first, and we'll get to you, Elvis.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you remembered to tell them about the movie we saw, I Am Legacy.
I Am Legend.
I mean Legend.
I will. I'll talk about I Am Legend.
You know what I mean. Because it looks like it's going to fit in quite well.
Oh, sure. And I'll talk about something that happened to me. That's what I'm leading up to. I did see I Am Legend. We had 28 days later up here on the screen before I came in. This seems to be a running theme, and I'll tell you more about that. Go ahead, Elvis.
You know, there's this brand new disease that they just found out about. It's this mutant virus, and they just recently told about it on the news.
It killed 10 people in Portland. And it killed 9 people in Texas.
Yeah, but there's this just recently came out, it seems like.
It did. It's exactly right. And they were talking about it. You're right, just recently. They said it was a killer cold virus that has killed, and it's killed young people. Not just old people, not just people with bad immune systems, but it's killing young people. And it seems that I know that probably a lot of this is being generated because healthcare has been like this running topic that they want to push on the American people for the next election. And sure, you know, it's a very, very important thing to talk about. But see, in the process, people are becoming casualties of this toxicity. And as Sarah pointed out, there's a new movie out called I Am Legend with Will Smith. It's basically Richard Matheson's book that he wrote, and they've done it. They've attempted to make this movie several times. Now, how many people have seen Omega Man by applause? Yeah, well, Omega Man is based on that book, but I Am Legend, it took about 53 years, but they finally got the movie correct with Will Smith, and a lot of people are going to it, and it's a very disturbing film. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. I was listening to you yesterday, but it's something on talk radio, and they were talking about this is like the 4th time this movie's been made, and with the pattern it's been, they said the next one will come out in like 2028. Somebody will do it again.
Exactly. Well, you know, there's certain themes that continually get remade. And the idea, though, the timing of this is amazing, in my opinion, because what you're seeing is like we saw 28 Days Later, and then there's like 28, what's it? It was 28 days later. What was the, 28 days?
28 weeks.
28 weeks after.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking 2.8 years later, what are we going to be seeing in 2.8 years? And it was funny because, and you're coming up to the microphone, I was just going to bring you up, but I can barely see you in the audience, but you brought up last week. In fact, it's on the video that's on Google, we call it the creeping denial, but you brought up the movie I Am Legend last week. And you were saying, isn't it funny how it's timed? What were you going to say now, Doug?
Well, actually I wanted to just jump on the Mega Man while it was still a hot topic. Just a real funny thing, like Charlton Heston, if you've seen the movie, Charlton Heston, you have a bad day, when someone has a bad day, Charlton Heston had the worst day anyone's ever had when his final day. Because he was going to be Zeus at that point. He was going to father the entire planet. And then he perished. I just thought that was, you know, when you think if you've had a bad day, you've had a bad day. Heston's character in Omega Man had the worst day you could ever have. And here he is dying, and he gives his blood to someone else to repopulate the planet.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, you know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And you do everything you can to survive, and in this film, you do everything you can to survive, too. But what I'm getting at is that the timing of these films, I mean, science fiction, zombie films are like big now. 28 Days Later, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead. I mean, Night of the Living Dead was also based on I Am Legend, the Night of the Living Dead series. So we got a lot of, you know, zombie films that are coming out, and zombies are no longer zombies that eat brains, okay? They're now infected zombies. They're infected, their blood is infected with something. And the contagion is what we need to be afraid of. That's the thing, is it a contagion that may be released, a contagion that may be getting you, that invisible enemy that you can't see, and you don't know who has it. Before it was the specter of AIDS, and it was West Nile and all these others. Now we have H5N1 still out there waiting to pounce. And well, I can't pick that up, Jim. You're going to have to hand it to me. I mean, you know, I'm sorry. I used to be able to do that, but now with my operation, I can't bend over. Ladies and gentlemen, he just handed me a copy of World War Z, which, actually, I was given this after I came out of recovery. It was hilarious. I came out of recovery at the hospital, and Scott Daly from Film Fever Radio hands me this book, and he says, you need to read this. And it's about the zombie holocaust. It's about the zombies coming and taking over. And so I'm thinking, okay, World War Z, that's great. And then, of course, I Am Legend comes out, 28 days, 28 weeks, all these other, there's that running theme. Running theme is going on. Do you want to say something? You wave your hand to say something? Oh, no, you're fine? Okay. The running theme is happening, and it just seems to be, even on television. When you're watching, there's actually some commercials out right now for some flu or cold remedy, and it's the scariest thing. The guy is on the bus and he's coughing and he looks like he's a zombie. He looks like he's dying. And then he takes this chlortrimeton or whatever the hell it is. He takes it, once he takes it, he gets his color back and he looks fine. So what we're doing is we're basically, you know, I guess you could say zombifying those who are sick. And we're doing that with not only people who have maybe cancer or perhaps AIDS or some other virus, but we're also doing it with people who have the flu. We're doing it with people who have something mentally wrong with them as well, mentally and physically. The mentally ill are also in the crosshairs when we hear about shootings in malls, when we hear about bombs going off and all these other things we heard about last week, the doppelganger I talked about. creating that uber suspect, you know, the one that leaves behind a note, but then he doesn't leave behind a note. They change the story. The media somehow changes the story to make it worse than it really is, beefing up that fear so that when bills pass to put people in jail that have any kind of mental antagonistic viewpoint, they get thrown in jail just for thinking things. You see? These are the things that are waiting in the wings for 2008. Not just your election, but the idea is how many people, how many of you are sick? How many of you are dying? How many of you have some illness that needs to be eradicated? I mean, where are they going to round people up and put them in these camps so that they can recuperate? And if they have H5N1, or if they have any other diseases coming up the pike, maybe some smallpox or TB that's loose, who all's going to be sent to those places in order to recuperate? It's like Captain Trips in The Stand. I mean, is this the theme that they're getting us prepared for because some strange things have been going on? I remember I reported Thanksgiving. I was talking about curses, and I did a Ground Zero Continuum, an ideocast called The Devil Comes Home. And in it, I talked about 17th century black magic and how it was used to create curses on different types of people. And the more I read, the more I realize that these curses had to do with blood and had to do with putting disease or casting a curse of a disease upon a group of people.
Whose blood?
It's amazing. What's that?
Whose blood?
Whose blood? I don't know. It was just different bloodlines. It's all about bloodlines. If you want to talk, come up to the microphone. If you want to add something, that'd be great. Okay? Let me go to him, and then you can talk to me a minute. Go ahead.
Was it racial or?
Was it racial? I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, well,
Ebola. Ebola's been making a big comeback.
Ebola? Well, let me talk to you about, while you're on the topic of race, while we're talking about blood.
Was it racial within, like, European bloodlines?
I'm still investigating that, but I think that maybe you're onto something. Think about sickle cell anemia and all those other things that affect certain types of people. These are diseases that affect blacks more than they affect white people. Certain other diseases that affect certain, like AIDS, of course, infects more minorities and gay people than it does anything else.
Like intra-European bloodlines.
Right. I mean, I think you're onto something.
Like
I haven't
Germanic or Slavic or...
Yeah, I haven't gotten into that yet, and I think that'll be something I'll be getting into, the difference between Germanic and Slavic and whether or not they got the disease and others didn't get it. You're onto something. I just haven't got that far yet. Do you know something about that?
No, I'm asking you.
Well, okay. I'm still reading about it, and I'll let you know. If you come to the lounge, I'll let you know. Because I'm still working on that. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just wanted to talk about some of these movies that you brought up, Day After Tomorrow, 28 Days, I Am Legend, even Da Vinci Code. Sort of kind of Armageddon, and the question of, and when these movies come out, it just seems like a few weeks or a few months later, then the talk about it is over with. It's done. You have all this excitement, and then it's done.
But it gets into the news.
It gets in the news.
Right.
Then another movie comes along, but similar in the vein, like in zombie people, what would you do?
See, you need to understand that these films were made 3 years prior to them coming out, maybe even 2 years prior to them coming out. So, what is that? You know, it's like I was telling you about the situation with War of the Worlds, where Spielberg had said, well, there was never a film that was made that showed Americans in a situation with refugees leaving their homes because their homes are in danger. So finally I made a film that was that way. And then while we're watching War of the Worlds on the screen, not only are we seeing people getting taken out of the Gaza Strip and being told to leave their homes, but Hurricane Katrina hits, we have people leaving their homes because they can't stay there. And not only that, but we see Dakota Fanning. Dakota Fanning is standing. Remember that scene where she decides that she's going to go to the bathroom? And she runs over to the river, and she sees all the dead bodies floating by? Yeah. Same thing happened on the TV screen with Katrina. We saw all those dead bodies floating around in that water, and that was just so similar, and it was all coming about at the same time. It was coincidental. And like I said last week when you were up here talking about films, Kenneth Anger, the man who brought us Lucifer Rising, was Satanist, who, we've had people like Rex Church up here and everything talking about coincidences and black magic and things of that nature. I remember he said that the whole reason for him making Lucifer Rising was because he was hoping he could resurrect Satan with a movie, because he said when movies flicker, when movies show, and they're flickering over and over again, they are causal engines to get people to pay attention to topics. And sometimes they create the very thing they're trying to depict. And we've seen New York being destroyed so many times in the movies that when New York was destroyed, we thought, oh my God, this is just a movie. We're going to see it again with a movie called Cloverfield in January, where you see the Statue of Liberty's head being ripped off and thrown into the streets of New York.
Okay. V for Vendetta is another one. But what I was thinking of is the frequency of these. Is this a case of where you throw enough things against the wall, eventually something's going to stick? Because you just illustrated, too, another point. These movies, Armageddonist movies, were done in the 1970s, you know.
Some were done in the 70s.
Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes is done where you have the Statue of Liberty, the thing.
But see, those were done metaphorically. I mean, when you have the Planet of the Apes, you have these, you turn it, I mean, nothing's being done metaphorically anymore. It's all being done as a reality play. You know, I Am Legend is believable. I mean, if you've seen the movie, I Am Legend is pretty believable. I mean, you see the Brooklyn Bridge being blown up, you see all these people dying, and you see, it's just, you know, science fiction used to be triumph over whatever it is. Now, there's no triumph anymore.
I know, but the thing is, what it still is still supposed to be a movie, an entertainment. In the 1970s, going back to this again, you know, there wasn't this constant overlap of thriller after thriller after thriller, end of the world sort of thing.
But is it entertainment, or is it a matter?
It seems like there's an additional agenda now.
Yeah, is there an agenda to science fiction now? And science fiction's always had an agenda, but is that agenda turning into this, you know, this is what's on the horizon, be ready for it? You know, that other movie, oh God, Clive Owen, Children of Men. Children of Men were, well, in the book, men become infertile, but it's the women that become infertile in the movie. Where something happened, well, and we do know that men are becoming infertile. Why do you think you have to buy Levitra and you have to buy, you know, Elvira or whatever it is you have to take to get your dick to stick up? That's what. That's why. I mean, all these products that are out on the market now for enlarged penises and erections that last 8 hours, those things are there because we are becoming more impotent. It's something that's in the water. Can't get up no more. Beverly, go ahead.
You know, you talk about the bridges being blown up, buildings being blown up, but there's one movie that you guys forgot about. Earthquake and 10.1.
Oh, that TV show?
Where San Francisco where California breaks off and becomes an island.
Well,
they're saying that that's a possibility now too.
Well, yeah, that's a possibility if you figure the Yellowstone caldera gets to blow up and, you know, everything, you know, that'd take out 4,000 miles or 400 miles or whatever.
Yeah, because the San Andreas Fault is right along the California border.
Right. Well, see, here's something to think about too, and I talked about this, when was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago. There was actually and this back when I was talking about black magic, and people say, well, your credibility just went down the shitter when you start talking about black magic. I don't think so. Because I can tell you this. I can tell you this about black magic, okay? When you have a group of people, mostly hardline Jews, that say if Bush speaks at Annapolis and he talks about the possibility of Palestine and Israel becoming one, then there's all kinds of peril that's going to hit the United States. Remember when I talked about that and I said the earth is going to basically be the next phase? The earth is going to do something? Well, take a look at what's happened since Bush has spoken at Annapolis. We've had an ice storm that has put Oklahoma, put the South basically out of business, and we've had mudslides and almost 50, 60 mile an hour winds out here in Seaside and places like that. These things are happening, maybe by design, maybe not, but it's funny how you can bring up the idea of black magic or the idea of creating a curse or creating some sort of curse on a group of people and having it transpire. And that's exactly what they said. They said, if Bush does this, there will be anomalies and disasters happening in the United States after he speaks. And right after he spoke in Annapolis, all this shit went down in the United States.
You and your ass.
It's a coincidence probably, but you know what? In Indonesia, H5N1 broke out, and it broke out in a household, and only one household had it. The whole family got H5N1. No one in the neighborhood got it. Now, you and I all know that perhaps, if this is the case, then perhaps they were just testing this family and that it can be contained. They're doing experiments on these people in Indonesia. It could be that. I'm not saying that it is, but it could be. Circumstantial evidence could tell us that maybe they're experimenting so certain people get it and certain people don't get it. Now, Indonesia, however, groups in Indonesia are saying that it is, and you can look this up, they're superstitious down there, of course, and they're saying that it was because of black magic. And I have the opportunity, I'm right now staying at a place where I have all these books on alchemy and black magic that I've been reading about. If you look at 17th century alchemy and 17th century black magic, medieval, Middle Ages type of black magic, the idea of black magic and black contagion, the black plague, and all of these black things that they had back in medieval times were all curses being placed on a group of people and their bloodlines. And that curse would carry on from generation to generation until that country or that group of people paid for their transgression against another group of people whose magic or whose chemistry and whose science is far more superior to theirs. So think about that. Think about that. Go ahead.
That's more or less what I was trying to go with the Ebola. I'm sure you've been reading the news lately, but there's probably been 20-something Ebola breakouts with over 2,000 deaths in the last month or two. And we're talking Middle Africa, voodoo countries, where things are going crazy with Ebola right now. And these are blood-borne diseases. And it's really, really interesting. It's something to keep an eye on. Where you have CDC going over there sending shock troops to, cordon off villages. They're not talking about, in open news, but this is happening, and it's been happening in the last couple of weeks, like big time. It's really scary stuff.
He makes a very good point. In the countries where you start seeing, like Africa, for example, and I've interviewed people who talk about voodoo in the bush, as they call it. These things, this voodoo, this black magic, this stuff that they do, puts curses on the blood of certain people. Blood is the carrier of all things on this planet for life. The iron, the feral nature of the planet. In fact, the earth itself has a bloodstream. It has a core, an iron core that pushes out the blood of the earth. We have bloodstream where we have a core that pushes out the blood that keeps us alive, that carries oxygen, and also carries that alien virus or that contagion. And remember, contagion and black magic go hand in hand if you read about it in the ancient writings or in the old writings of magicians and wizards and those who practiced black magic. And if you read about kingdoms in the medieval times and how they had their own wizards and they had their own soothsayers, and you have the Chaldeans and you have the Phoenicians and you have all these people who use these types of rituals in order to bring about some sort of change in people, then it would not be that far of a stretch to understand that probably within our own governments, the modern governments of today, there are secret people and organizations that are the underbelly that basically do the same thing. And they're using chemicals, they're using science, and they're using a little bit of superstition, magic, or whatever, and they are producing these contagions, these problems, and they are delivering them in ways that we have been warning people about for a long time. You've heard people talk about chemtrails. Chemtrails are not real. Chemtrails are just condensation coming off of a plane. Well, yeah, there is condensation that comes off of a plane. But then there are chemtrails where they are saying now that barium, and sometimes, in fact, you've heard Sadie Gregg up here too, talk about how in Everett, Washington, they did some tests and they found human blood cells in the chemtrails. And other types of contagions in these chemtrails. So the deliverance of these things, we've been warned about for a long time. And now, the result is films about it, the zombie plagues, these types of things. Yeah, they're all fantasy, and they're all freaky, and they're all parts of your science fiction and your horror films. The science fiction and horror films and all that are all pretty much precursors to the reality. They're precursors to the reality, and sometimes when you start hearing about people, 1 in 3, getting cancers, and they were talking about the I guess you could say the statistics, men versus women. You know, women die of lung cancer now more than men do because women are smoking more than men are. And men are dying of liver cancers and pancreatic cancers. Why? Because men drink more than women do. And certain races are getting certain types of diseases that other races don't get because of their activities and what they do. So modifying your life and adapting is going to be what you're going to have to do in the future. And those that don't adapt and those that don't learn are going to be the ones that are going to die. I mean, there are a lot of things that I'm learning that I'm going to have to do now because of what has happened to me, and I have to change some things in my life now. It's going to be hard, and I'm not perfect. People are going to say, oh, you know, Clyde's just going back to his old way. No, I'm not. I really am frightened to anymore. You know, you get a little gun shy of certain things you normally would do because you're afraid it's going to give you cancer. And then one day, I guess you wake up and realize that everything causes cancer. But in the meantime, I think that we're at a point in our lives where we cannot, as a people here in America, believe that we're invincible anymore and that everything is going to take care of itself, because it's not going to. What's going to have to take care of itself is us taking care of ourselves. It's going to have to be us deciding that this is the way we're going to live and what we choose to live by, because if we decide that we're going to go with the main group, and if we decide that we're going to do the things that aren't healthy for us, and we put ourselves in that toxic environment. I'm not saying go out and buy organics tomorrow, and I'm not saying that, you know, global warming is going to kill us all. No, but what I'm saying is that what's going to kill us all is that denial and that neglect and that negligence that we tend to think, oh, it's all going to work out for the best. We're in this point in our lives where we're thinking that nothing can happen to us. Will you tell that to the people who live over there in Vernonia? You tell that to the people who live in the South right now, where they've had power outages for 10 days. 2-3 days, you're fine. 10 days? I don't think you're fine, especially when the temperature is -9.
It's breaking.
-9, and you have no power. How do you keep warm? There's a woman that I've been corresponding with who, she wrote me after 10 days of no contact, and she said, I haven't showered in 10 days. And she said, I have not had warmth for 10 days. And she said, I don't know how we made it. She said, everything's cracking and falling apart. People describe what's going on like watching a tornado without wind. The limbs just up and fall off trees. The wires crack. The generators explode as they're trying to get the power back on. See, we're not living that right now. We're lucky. We didn't get what happened in Vernonia, but they got it. Their stores were shut down. They got it all. And see, we didn't have to deal with that. We missed that one. We missed the situation in the South. We missed that one. We missed the drought. We missed that one.
For now.
For now. But when are we going to realize that we live in a world right now that is toxic, and it just all of a sudden, like overnight, became a toxic experience for everybody? And we've been told for 30 or some odd years that this was going to happen to us. Now it's happening to us. We're all going, oh, it's all going to work itself out.
Because you didn't fucking listen.
I think we listened, but I didn't think we understood or even fathomed it would be this bad.
Right.
And it's only bad because we can only watch and be bystanders and go, oh my God, that's terrible. Oh my God, that looks bad. Oh my God, I'm glad that's not me. Oh my God, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know, I remember when I used to do that. I remember when my mom was dying of cancer, and I used to say, God, how's she dealing with it? How's she dealing with her cancer? And you know what? You don't. It's hard. I mean, especially when you get up and you decide, hey, I'm going to start doing what I normally do. I'm going to get up on stage and start talking to the people. First 2 weeks you're in pain. Tonight I'm not in as much pain and I feel fine. But I'm going to have to do this again on the 2nd of January. I'm going back in again. They found another tumor. I had one, now they found two. And they're going to go back in again. And I thought I was just going to have a little straight, and I'm going to have a big one again. A big little cut across my stomach again. It's going to happen again. Now, you know, mentally, I'm hoping I can do this, but you know, 6 weeks with inactivity is enough to drive you insane. 6 weeks without, you know, with occasional contact with people drives me crazy, because I'm the type of person who likes to talk to other people. I like to express myself. I like to get involved with things. But you know, sometimes, if the spirit is willing, sometimes the body just won't let you do it. It's like I went from a 43-year-old man who felt like he could take on the world and extend his adolescence to a 90-year-old man in a matter of minutes. And now I'm getting back to being a 43-year-old man with all that piss and vinegar again. But you know what? It takes time. And some people, and some people aren't so lucky. Some people don't get up. And you just stand and say, God, I'm glad I'm not, and I'm glad that's not me. But man, you come close. You come close to your mortality, and you start realizing, my God, it's time to start saying something. It's time for people to start realizing that, yes, you could be that person. And people say, well, what the hell do I care? I'm going to be dead anyway. No, you got to care about it. You can live a longer time if you do some preparation and if you educate yourself on what's happening. That silent enemy, that contagion, that black magic, that whatever you want to call it, that scourge, that blood curse, whatever is going on, is waiting to be unleashed at certain times to certain people. And it may be by design, and it may not be by design, but still, it seems to be going in a pattern that we need to recognize and see. The pattern is there. It's going in a great fashion. And sometimes it's being proclaimed before it happens. There'll be a big disaster in the United States if Bush does this. And you know what? It's like, well, if Bush does it, so what? It's not going to come. Well, then all of a sudden we start seeing these calamities and these problems in the United States. Now, if someone declared it, then it happens. Boy, that's luck, isn't it? Most psychics on the Art Bell show don't get that much accuracy. But these people seem to have a great deal of accuracy, don't they? And all the films that are showing 28 Days Later and I Am Legend, The Last Man on Earth, and Omega Man, and all these films are all depicting the idea that looming ahead of us is contagion. And whatever it may be, whatever the contagion may be, we have to be aware of how to stop it or to avoid it. Washing your hands, doing all these things. You know, back in the, if you read about the flu in 1918, it was against the law to shake hands with people. And if somebody was coughing, they'd be immediately hauled away, taken to a detainment quarantine area. Your rights and freedoms taken from you because you're coughing and you're sick. And that's what happened back then. And people would die. They would get it, and within minutes they'd be dead. And you know, losing loved ones and losing a great number of people is something that we have to talk about, and we have to basically say what's going to be there for people. And see, my theory is that the reason why they're talking about health care plans right now, and the reason why they're saying they've got to find a way to improve on our health care is because they know there's a race against a contagion. And if they don't prepare, and if the American people don't pay attention to this health situation, there's going to be scores of people that are going to die. And you notice that there are a lot of people that are still holding on to that drug money, and they're holding you for ransom. The ransom is the drug money. Sure, you have a sickness, you have a disease, you have something, but they hold the antidote with the money. And until the money is given to them, they won't give it to you. And sometimes, if you really want to get dastardly and devious, they probably have created it. You know damn good and well, and I've talked about this before, that the people, they started telling us about H5N1 while they were still trying to synthesize the 1918 virus that killed all those people. And they successfully synthesized it. Now, if we had somebody in Iran or Iraq do that, they would be tried for terrorism. Here in the United States, we do it, it's a Nobel Peace Prize opportunity for somebody. How so when they have the danger or the possibility of that being released on people? You take a look at all the cold weather snaps that are happening right now all over the country. When cold weather snaps happen, people get sick. Bush today came out and said that the economy is in trouble. He finally admitted it. The economy is in bigger trouble than he wants to admit, because when you have all these disasters taking place, someone's got to pay for it. And no one's going to feel sorry for you if you can't afford to get a loaf of bread, or if you can't afford to eat because you weren't planning on this. You need to plan for it. Resource depletion is a reality. Resource depletion is what they're fighting over. What resource depletion is the world ending bit by bit by bit. The world's not going to come to an end, one big explosion. The apocalypse is not going to happen, and somebody's going to come out and say, hey, maybe it's the apocalypse. No, the apocalypse begins right here, ends up right here, and eventually your apocalypse will be either your death or your fighting to stay alive.
What are you doing to prepare for the apocalypse?
What do you do when you prepare for the apocalypse? You realize that it's happening, and you prepare for it by saving up things and resources that you might need. Things that you take for granted, start stocking up on. I mean, I remember when I lived in South America, it was really funny. One of the things that really bothered me was that while I was there were a couple of things that I wanted that I don't even eat or drink right now. One was a Snickers bar, and the other was root beer. I don't drink root beer, but I wanted root beer when I was down there because they didn't have root beer. And I know that sounds funny, but I mean, you know, one of the things, when you have things taken from you, or you don't have an ability to get to those things, you start missing them. You'd be surprised what you miss when you're out, or you're kept from something. You know, sometimes knowing you can have it, you just kind of like push it away and say, well, I know I can get it whenever I want it. But then when he says you cannot get it, that's when you start missing it. You start wanting more.
Yeah, like a couple of years ago, I had like an impacted abscess, and so I ended up with lockjaw, and so I couldn't eat, and so everything looked appetizing to me. I mean, shit that I would never even like remotely want, but then everything just looked so good because I couldn't have it.
Exactly. And you know what? When everything falls, when you're stuck, and the world is basically falling apart around you in some disaster or something, sometimes dogs look good to eat. You know? Sometimes, you know, and if you look at South American soccer players, they look good to eat when you're out on a mountain somewhere trying to survive. A little bit of, you know, hamburger and an order of thighs. Go ahead.
I just reread Douglas Coupland's Generation X recently, which was written in '91, and there's end of the world scenarios there where the character's fear was in the bomb, was like a Dr. Strangelove dropping the bomb. The Cold War, the post-baby boomer Eisenhower generation. Now that generation is gone, but the fear is still there. Are we just calling it something? Is it a common human fear that you just give it a different identity? Like, is it terrorist?
Do you think the bomb is still as scary as the idea of living through a contagion? Think about that.
Well, the bomb is not an idea anymore. There's no Cold War anymore, so it's replaced by something else.
Terrorism?
Yeah, terrorism.
Even though we haven't had a terrorist attack here in the United States for going on 7 years now?
Or contagion, yeah.
Yeah.
Either one, whatever, but it's still, that fear is just put in every decade, every generation, it's a new fear.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, the terrorism fear has done a good job because we had a great show. When you have a spectacular event like 9/11, that's a great show that makes you scared for 7 or 8 years. And as long as they keep bringing it up, yeah, it's going to frighten you. Every time they say those words, 911, I heard Lieberman talk about it today when he was endorsing Dick Fuck from Arizona. And, you know, I'm sorry, but that's weird. You know, somehow, you know, and Lieberman, loser, you know, McCain, I'm sick of McCain. I'm just sick of the politics. How many people are sick of politics in the audience? Isn't it just stupid? You know what? I saw Oprah stumping for Obama. Oprah needs to run for president. I'd vote for her. What the hell? Why would I vote for her? Why not? I mean, hell, I wanted to vote for Satan because, I mean, you know, why vote for the lesser of two evils? Vote for evil. It's already there, right? No, I mean, come on. It is that much of a circus. If it's not Hillary Clinton, it's Obama. If it's not Obama, it's you know, Oprah. If it's not Oprah, it's someone else.
Hey, fuck you. I voted for Skull and Bones last night.
It's funny.
Yeah, too bad I don't vote. Do you vote?
There's a funny note. We were in Seattle just the other weekend, and some swag freaking hand-outers or whatever ran up to us and they're like, Obama, blah, 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 blah. Here's a flyer, and we're like, wow, Oprah's going to be in town, woohoo!
Yeah, exactly.
They're just like, oh, what?
That's all they cared about. You're right. They said,
that was the funny part. We're just like, whoa, Oprah's going to be in town? When's she going to be here?
Exactly.
And they didn't know what to do.
Oprah's God. She has enough money to be God. Why not? No, I mean, and you know, as much as I rag on Ron Paul, I'd like to congratulate Ron Paul on his how much money did he raise on that day? $6 million. A fantastic job. Give Ron Paul a hand for that. I really think that's great. I mean, as much as I rag on the guy, I think it's awesome because, I mean, it just goes to show you that his supporters are out there and they're working for him. But, you know, fat chance of he becoming president. Fat chance of anybody becoming president we really want. Am I right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I hope now you're beginning to see that it doesn't matter whether it's Democrat or Republican. No one's going to change this heap of shit we've got going on in this country right now. It's going to take years and years and years, and people are believing in a quick fix situation when we've got disasters, we've got plagues, we got everything on the horizon, and no president's going to want to take responsibility for that crap. I mean, look at Katrina, for Christ's sake. You know, Bush is never going to be able to live that down. And no matter what he did, no matter what anyone did, it wouldn't have been enough. Nothing's enough when your family's dying around you. Nothing's enough when you need to eat, when you need to drink, and when you need to sleep in a place that isn't infested with shit. Nothing is enough. And you know what? If you have to rely on your government to get you out of your problem, then you're pretty much fucked. You got to, as they said back in the old days, pull your own bootstraps up and fend for yourself. Because you have only yourself to blame if you can't live and be happy with the way you're living. Yeah, if you want to clap for that, fine, but it's true. Why do we have to always sit there and lean on our government and blame them when we have to do something about it first? Because many of us have been so spoiled. We want to have our cable TV and we want to have all these things. We want to have food on our table and beer and everything that we want. So we have the breads and circuses and the entertainment. And what do we get out of it? Absolutely nothing.
Get off your dead ass and get some.
And I think I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but there are a lot of people out there from, you know, watching television. They spent a whole day today talking about the new, that new case with Stacey Peterson. I mean, Stacey Lacey, I get confused now. Stacey Lacey Peterson, it's the same thing. They're going to the canal now, they'll probably find the body, I don't know. But it's like they spent a whole day talking about that. What are they not talking about? They're not talking about the fact that the other day, I got in my email, and this is the most amazing thing, and this is why I'm talking about what I'm talking about tonight. I got an email, and how many of you get spam by applause? You get a lot of spam in your emails? Yeah? Not many of you, boy. If you don't get spam, you know, you don't go to that porn sites. But anyway, I got this spam. And it had in it, it was very interesting, it's buy your house with this much down, whatever, because now the housing market's all ripe and ready to go, whatever. I think it'd be nice if we could get a house, but I can't. But below it, in order for it to get through the filters, there was actually some paragraphs that were all strewn together that gave me the creeps. It first came out talking about the review of I Am Legend. And then, as I'm reading along, it jumps into something that I thought was the same article, but it talked about kids in New Jersey being inoculated against flu. Okay? Inoculated against the flu. And then it went on to talk about the Indonesian H5N1 flu virus. And then it went on to talk about the situation that happened at Thanksgiving with all those turkeys that were destroyed in Britain. And then it went back to a great film. I Am Legend. Go see it. Theaters. Well. And I'm thinking that, you know, what was being said? What was being said in that? What was that? Was that like an op key or something that was sent to me? I mean, it was sent to a number of my friends too, because they sent it to me and said, "What do you think of this? This is a weird thing." I go, "It is a weird thing." Maybe nothing, but it sure affected me because of the films that are out right now. The ideas and the health issues that are coming out. The World Health Organizations are putting out bulletins again. Be on the lookout for people who may have H5N1 or anything comparable. Be on the lookout for this because they're once again scared that it's going to happen this spring.
What's going on?
H5N1. Viruses, flus, things lurking in the background, invisible enemies. It's once again perhaps another fear scare, perhaps not. They keep crying wolf and you're going to just neglect it, but you pay attention, maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't happen. I hope it doesn't happen, but you know what? A lot of things have been happening in the world that have missed us many times. Missed us once, missed us twice, missed us 3 times, who knows? But you know, it affects everybody. It affects the way they feel, and it affects how they're going to be preparing for the future. This Christmas, I'm not going to be here next week because it's Christmas Eve. I'm going to be spending time with my friends because I have not had an experience. I've not had the Christmas experience yet because I've been trying to recover from what's going on with me, but next week, we're going to not have a lounge because it's Christmas Eve. But I want you all to think about this Christmas as you're opening presents with your friends and you're going to your family gatherings and everything. Watching The Big Lebowski. That's what I do at Thanksgiving. I didn't get a chance to. That's my annual thing is The Big Lebowski. But I may do it. I'll have to do it Christmas time. Yes.
I couldn't care about Christmas.
The Big Lebowski's awesome. Watch it this Christmas. It'll be great. Don't fuck with the Jesus man.
I couldn't care about Christmas.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. You know, we don't need hecklers. If you're going to say something, get up to the microphone. I just want to let you know this. That as you're doing it, as you're going through all your presents, as you're going through and you're spending time with your families, keep in mind that Christmas not only means the birth of Jesus, and it not only means the Yule thing, and Hanukkah not only means the Festival of Lights and all this other stuff, it also is a representation of something called Saturnalia.
It's the rebirth of the sun.
Yep.
It's the rebirth of the sun.
Exactly, but that happens later on. What I'm talking about is Saturnalia. Okay, gotcha. No heckling. No heckling.
Not heckling.
Yes, you are. Because you're sitting out there, you're heckling. Okay, can you be quiet, please?
Negative. Sun God.
Thank you.
Rebirth of the sun God.
Okay, we hear you, dude.
For the 25th.
Okay, thank you. Saturnalia is something that, and you know, he's got a part right, sun god. But what Saturnalia talks about is, we've been talking about Saturn a lot, we talk about all that here on this stage. Saturnalia is something that happens every time around this time, and what it is, it's the celebration of being missed by Kronos, being missed by Father Time and his scythe, killing his children. We are missed this year. We have been missed by that scythe. Every year that we can live, we celebrate. We have a New Year's party. We have a New Year's celebration because we celebrate the fact that we have life and we're passing through the sun again. I want you all to value that. And value that a little more, and don't take for granted that your family members are surrounding you, and don't take for granted people who you love, and don't take for granted those things because they are vital to your health. They're vital to your mental health, and love is vital to your well-being. And it's the only thing that's going to keep us together is that type of love, that bond. I know it sounds Pollyanna, I know it sounds strange, but we need to find ways to bond with each other and learn from each other and know that we can count on each other if something goes wrong. It's important that we keep that in mind. Talk to people. Find out what they do. Find out what their values are. Find out what professions they have. If you have a doctor in your neighborhood, realize you have a doctor in your neighborhood. Find out who can build things, who has a background in building. So if you have to build a shelter in the middle of a 10 below zero thing during an ice storm, you'll know how to do that. These are the things we need, and have community meetings. Get together in your community. I mean, we have a community hub where I live. I live up in the Larry Hill area. We go to the market, we sit there, we plot how we're going to help our own community. Every one of you should be thinking about that, or at least bring it up to somebody, and maybe organize it yourself. And if only 3 people show up to that thing, so be it. 3 people. 4. I mean, when the Ground Zero Lounge started, we had 4 people show up. Now look how many people are here tonight. Thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause for being here tonight. See, and it all goes exponentially because people want to talk about things that are really mattering right now. Not about stupid things and distractions. They want to talk about how they can help themselves. Well, now it's time to help ourselves, even before the hit, if we ever have to experience it. But we've been missed again. Saturnalia has missed us once again. But hopefully 2008 will be even luckier. But you know, there's so many things going on. Be happy that you have people around you that you can love and bring near you. Christmas time is a time to pull together. It's a time to love. And it's a time to realize how important family is. Not just your family that's your blood family, but the family that you have surrounding you. I feel that you're all my family. Most of you who come to the lounge. And I'm very grateful you come out every week. And I want to thank you for all your support you've given me while I've been recovering from my cancer surgery. I want to let you know I'm going to be going in again on the 2nd of January, so it's going to be another 6 weeks of that again. I'm going to leave now. Karaoke from Hell is coming up. We'll see you in 2 weeks on the Ground Zero Lounge. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm a cold ball, baby, and I'm sure gonna fry you.